The effects are devastating when man meets machine. Vulnerable pedestrians, speeding bikers, and accident-prone cyclists. The Unprotected, tonight on Police Camera Action.
This ball is about to be fired into the car windscreen. It represents a pedestrian's head. Costing £3,500, it's been designed to accurately measure the horrific consequences of a road accident.
In the past, crash test dummies were used to discover the human cost of a collision with a car.
Nowadays, at the Transport Research Laboratory, pedestrians are no longer represented by dummies, but by these forms. This is a leg, this a thigh, and this a child's head. These parts are then fired at various points on the car at set speeds to determine the scale of injury that such an impact would inflict upon you or me.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And despite those results, no law yet demands that manufacturers put their cars through these tests to make them safer for pedestrians.
But however safe cars are made, they'll never protect foolhardy children like these, who insist on turning the M25 into an adventure playground. Worried motorists are abused for their trouble. These children think they're invulnerable as they try to outrace cars travelling at 70 miles an hour. That's 102 feet per second. But the grim statistics show more than 10 children every day are killed or seriously injured on Britain's roads. Thankfully, the horror is ended when the police arrive before the children's deadly game turns into a nightmare. It's not just children who play chicken on the road. This adult dices with death just to pick up a £10 wheel trim.
About 11:30.
The danger is everywhere. On the right, on the left, and on the right again. The Unprotected seem to think they're indestructible. But whether you're late for work or not, you really should use a zebra crossing. But even that's not always a guarantee of safety. Nor is a red light at a Pelican crossing. Criminals bring their own terror to the streets. These teenagers in Lancashire are trying to outrun the police with no regard for anyone's safety. The driver thinks he's in control. Tracked on the Lancashire Police helicopter's thermal image camera, this car thief has just driven over a stinger device. The white sparks show his back tyre has been pierced. He too thinks he's in control.
From Austin number 21 at the junction now, and it's left, Wigan Road, back towards Ashton Maker to Field Town Centre.
Left Wigan Road, back towards Ashton Maker Field Town Centre. Engine 99, are you receiving?
CK, vehicle crashed.
The 18-year-old driver was sentenced to 9 months youth custody and banned for 2 years. His 15-year-old girlfriend was cautioned for being a passenger in a stolen car.
The students in this classroom have something in common. They've all been involved in a crash, and they've all been reported for a careless driving offence. But instead of going to court, they've opted to take this driver improvement course. The idea has been accepted by half the police forces in the United Kingdom, who see it as an important tool in reducing the number of road traffic accidents.
Too far out? Yeah. Okay, well, let's work on this top one. Why do you need to flash these lights in the first place?
People who cause a crash are 4 times as likely to do it again within 12 months unless something is done about it. So the net effect of all of this? Well, it certainly saves time and money in the courts, but the main point is it puts better and safer drivers back out onto the roads.
This next driver, coming up on the right, certainly needs to learn a lesson on which side of the dual carriageway to drive. But you shouldn't really practice your driving skills on the slip road to the M1, especially in front of an unmarked police car.
How are you going to resolve? How are you going to stop that?
I've just realised I made the wrong turn.
Would you like to stop down the bottom there? It's a police car and I'll speak to you there.
Yes, of course.
And amazed officers definitely wanted words with this laid-back driver. He's driving with no hands at all. This relaxed approach to driving can lead to a heavy fine.
I've heard of people being relaxed driving, but that's ridiculous.
Sometimes it's overuse of the hands which causes problems. This New Zealand couple caught canoodling in the front of their car would also have benefited from a driver improvement course.
Explain that lot to me, please.
Oh, sorry, mate. It's just me.
I'm not your mate.
Well, my girlfriend's
She may well be, but you're interfering with the driver of the car. How'd you like to get locked up?
I've hit my signal on.
It's got nothing to do with it. Damn stupid. I think you should do your fly up, get going, and behave yourself.
Quite right. On the Watford bypass in Hertfordshire, this overtaking motorist risks everything to jump the queue. First, when the middle lane is not his to use.
Now he's going to go down this side of traffic. What's he going to do?
And next, when there's no middle lane at all.
This could be interesting.
It proved to be more than interesting. He was reported for dangerous driving.
Speed now up to...
2 drivers racing along the street in Liverpool have caught the attention of the police.
Both vehicles, they appear to be racing at the moment. Both have overtaken this space.
Now a third joins in.
Oh my God, what's going on?
Police decide to stop all 3. Apart from being dangerous, racing on the highway is a specific offence, leading to an automatic ban and a £2,500 fine. Merseyside police managed to round up the 3 offenders, who were all cautioned for their dangerous driving.
Go and see if you can get the mini, Bob.
Every police driver is highly trained and only allowed behind the wheel of a powerful traffic car after a series of tough courses and stringent examinations. They're constantly anticipating the unexpected. After all, you never know what's going to be round the next corner. But some drivers are less prepared than mine. No motorist expects to meet a pedestrian ambling towards him on the motorway. Despite this gentleman cyclist's smart appearance, suit and briefcase, he seems oblivious to the dangers of speeding traffic. He dashes across the motorway, then is forced to wait while the police escort him to safety.
This junction on the M25 is notorious for pedestrians who've lost their way. And a year earlier, another foolhardy pedestrian, this time on crutches. Despite his disability, he makes it to the other side, but he too is picked up by the police. In the Highlands of Scotland, a police pursuit driver thinks he has the situation under control despite speeds of up to 100 miles an hour. But then the criminals open the boot of their stolen Fiesta, and in a vain attempt to get away, they systematically start to empty the car. First the parcel shelf, then some papers, and a floor mat. The police driver pulls back just as the jack is thrown. Harmless objects become potentially deadly missiles as the driver dodges the barrage. In a desperate maneuver, the criminals throw a can of oil, which smears the screen. But all to no avail. The pursuit lasts for another 15 minutes before police capture the gang. They were carrying a variety of weapons and were equipped with balaclavas and ski masks. The man who threw the equipment out of the back of the car and the driver were both jailed. The passenger was sentenced to community service. It's not always speed that causes problems. Slow-moving lorries can be a hazard, especially when they fail to slow down for cyclists.
Yeah, we're going to have to do some research on market. I think his heart's just stopped.
Nothing like forward vision, eh?
Cyclists rely on the good sense of other motorists for their protection. But sometimes cyclists are a danger to themselves. You can see she actually puts her foot in the spokes.
Coming up, more motorway madness and the dangers of the hard shoulder. The hard shoulder of a motorway should be a safe haven for the motorist who's broken down or just had to stop. But the security that it appears to offer is all too often an illusion. 129 people were killed or seriously injured right here on the hard shoulder in the last 3 years. So if you do break down or just have to stop, then remember, take extra care and always recall just how vulnerable you are. Move the car as far over to the left as possible. Never ever walk around near the traffic. If your passengers have to get out of the car, then move them as far over to the left as possible. Up here onto the embankment if needs be. It's good advice because some drivers see the hard shoulder not as a place of safety, but as an empty lane for their own exclusive use. Undertaking, like this driver of the red Peugeot on the hard shoulder of the A40M in London, is bound to bring you to the attention of the police. This driver was reported for his complete disregard of motorway regulations. And wherever you are, as Larry Grayson always said, shut that door. On the hard shoulder in Arkansas, this driver has been stopped for weaving across the road.
Okay, shut your door, please. Okay. kind of stand over here so we don't get run over while we're talking, okay? You left your wallet. Where's home at? There's a couple reasons I stopped you. Number one.
He claims to have left his wallet at home, but the state trooper is puzzled by the man's behaviour. He's only being warned, but he's unsteady on his feet.
Saw you straighten back up. I also noticed that you have a bad crack on your windshield all the way across. Are you tired or what? Wore out. Kind of wore out, huh? Okay. Where y'all coming from? Where at? Other side of Texas. Other side of Texas?
More easy questions seem to unsettle the motorist, and he begins to sway.
Texas? Other side of Dallas? Okay. Who's in the car with you? We are. You just tired? You kind of tired? All right, up here. Come on. You all right, man? Oh, hey. I don't know.
The trooper was right to be suspicious. A search of the car revealed a cache of 70 pounds of marijuana, worth more than £100,000. The driver was sentenced to 6 years in jail.
Sit there just a minute, okay?
On the A5 near Milton Keynes, this fleeing driver has no regard at all for safe driving. Police want to stop him as they're worried about his own safety. Amazingly, the driver speeds the wrong way up a slip road, forcing an oncoming lorry to a standstill. His driving is now so dangerous, the helicopter's thermal image camera scans the nearby roads to alert pursuing officers of any other oncoming vehicles. Fortunately, at this time of the morning, most of these roads are clear. As the desperate man drives the wrong way along a roundabout, the officers decide to end the madness using a maneuver called a rolling block. One patrol car accelerates in front of the driver and forces the car to a halt. The pursuit ended safely, with no one injured. The traditional image of the biker is changing. Riding alongside the Hells Angels and rockers of the past, a new army of converts who believe 2 wheels are better than 4.
And leading the pack, the 30-something male, who 15 years ago rode a moped, but now has enough money to invest in a superbike, like this Triumph Daytona 955. Top speed, 160 miles an hour. Unfortunately, he often fails to appreciate how this machine has evolved in that 10 or 15 years. Everything's changed. Power, speed, handling. Despite a steady decline in biking casualties since the early 1980s, one police region that's particularly popular with superbikers has recently reported a 50% increase in biking fatalities. By way of response, the police have launched Bike Safe 2000. It's a campaign specifically aimed at the more vulnerable, older biker. But despite that, not everybody listens to advice, even advice that can save lives.
A main aim of Bike Safe 2000 is to reduce dangerous driving and keep speeds down.
Stay behind them, 120 now.
120 miles an hour is not only unsafe and illegal, but could easily have fatal consequences. Surrey police at the Box Hill beauty spot favoured by bikers decide to stop all the speeders before they cause injury to themselves or other road users.
Get them all together, do them all in one lot. Get them all to stand in front of the video cameras.
All four were banned from the roads and fined £150 each. And bikers are not exempt from the ban on overtaking on a double white line. And wheelies like this should be kept off the public highway. But sometimes motorcyclists are frustrated by the poor driving of other motorists. This biker in Hampshire thinks the car in front should have pulled over into the empty inside lane and makes his feelings clear. When his patience runs out, he takes the law into his own hands and undertakes, still arguing. On this occasion, police warn both the biker and the stubborn car driver about their poor driving. Police in Denmark, who tried to stop these two teenage moped riders, were amazed when the boys tried to make a dash for it. The law says these mopeds should be restricted to a speed of just 30 kilometers per hour. That's just under 20 miles an hour. But these two bikes are speeding at more than double the legal speed, nearly 40 mph. To foil their pursuers, the boys decide to go off-road. Officers suspect the boys have tinkered with the bikes, removing the manufacturer's restrictions. But to find out, first they have to stop them. They split up, and one boy disappears. In a desperate attempt to get extra speed, the boy starts to use his feet as his moped begins to slow. But it's too late. His bike has run out of petrol, and he has to give up. Officers took the teenager back to his father, who destroyed the moped rather than face prosecution. And finally, worried about his safety, police in London decided to follow this Hell's Angel, weaving about on his customized chopper.
Leader of the pack.
He sort of smiled and kissed me goodbye. The tears were beginning to show. As he drove away on that rainy night, I begged him to go slow. Whether he heard, I'll never know.
Look out, look out, look out, look out! I felt so helpless, what could I do?